I hit $20,000 in my bank account on a Tuesday. I remember because I checked my balance 3 times that morning just to make sure it was real. For 2 years, I'd been grinding, skipped trips with friends, drove a car held together by hope and duct tape, meal prepped every single Sunday. I thought when I finally hit that number, I don't know, I thought something would feel different, like a weight lifting off, like I'd finally made it to some kind of safe zone. But here's what actually happened. Something way stranger than relief. The very next day, I went to grab coffee. $8 for a latte. And I stood there, frozen, calculating in my head. That's 0.04% of my entire net worth. I walked out without ordering. $8. I used to spend that without thinking. Now it felt like theft from my future self. And that's when I realized the money didn't change my life. It changed my brain. I wasn't free. I was trapped by a number I'd been chasing for 2 years. $20,000 sitting in my account. And somehow I felt more anxious than when I had 200, because now I had something to lose. Nobody warns you about this part, the shift that happens in your head when you go from broke to not quite broke, when you enter this weird financial no man's land where you're suddenly playing defense instead of offense. So let me take you through what actually happens at $20,000, not the dream. The reality, because this is the conversation nobody's having. The first thing that happens at 20,000, you become a different person at the grocery store. I started buying the store brand everything, even stuff I hated, because suddenly every purchase felt permanent. I started calculating everything as a percentage. New shoes? That's 1% of my net worth walking out the door. Dinner with friends? 0.3%. A weekend trip? 4%. Gone. My friends noticed. You coming to Jake's birthday dinner? $40 a person. I made up an excuse. The truth was too embarrassing to say out loud. I typed back, "Got a work thing. Sorry, man. Work thing." I was sitting on my couch in sweatpants, protecting 0.2% of $20,000. Here's what they don't tell you about saving money. The scarcity mindset that got you to 20,000, it doesn't just disappear, it amplifies, because now the stakes feel real. I read somewhere that loss aversion is twice as powerful as the joy of gaining. Losing $100 hurts way more than finding $100 feels good. At $20,000, you're not thinking about what you could gain anymore. You're obsessed with what you could lose. Every dollar out feels like bleeding. And the crazy part, I wanted to spend it. My brain was screaming 2 opposite messages at the same time. You earned this. Treat yourself. And don't you dare touch it. You'll regret it forever. I'd look at stuff online I used to just ignore. $3,000 couch, click, saved. $1,500 laptop, click, saved. Planning purchases I'd never actually make. Window shopping my own savings, that's what I was doing. Fantasizing about being the person who could afford these things, while simultaneously being too terrified to actually buy them. $20,000 was supposed to be freedom. Instead, it became this thing I had to protect, like I was guarding a treasure in a video game, except the treasure was my entire sense of security. This is the part they don't put in the financial advice videos, the psychological prison that comes with your first real savings. You worked so hard to build it, and now you're stuck inside it. Around month 3 of having 20,000 saved, I started noticing something weird. I didn't know who I was anymore. Was I the broke guy who splits appetizers? Or was I someone else now? My best friend suggested we grab lunch at this place we used to hit up all the time. $22 for a burger. I said yes, but the whole meal I was doing math in my head, tasting percentages instead of food. He asked if I was okay. I lied and said I was tired. The truth was, I couldn't afford to be the person he remembered. Not financially, emotionally. Because here's what happens at 20,000. You enter this no man's land where you're not broke enough to not care, but not secure enough to actually relax. You're just stuck in between. And that's when the temptation starts creeping in. Your brain starts whispering, you know what? You've been responsible for 2 years. You deserve something nice. Just one thing. Just one thing turns into a list. A nicer apartment. You can afford the extra $200 a month now. A reliable car. You've earned it. A vacation. Just one. You haven't traveled in 2 years. Each one sounds reasonable in isolation, but you add them up, that's $8,000 gone in 6 months. And just like that, you're back under 15. This is the moment most people blow it. Not because they're irresponsible, but because $20,000 creates this illusion, this dangerous feeling that you've finally made it, that you can breathe now. You tell yourself it's an investment. A better apartment means better mental health, right? A reliable car means less stress. A vacation means you'll come back refreshed, more productive. And technically, you're not wrong. Those things might help. But here's what your brain conveniently forgets to mention. You're trading long-term security for short-term comfort. I almost did it. I test drove a car, sat in the driver's seat of something that didn't rattle when I hit 30 miles per hour. For 10 minutes, I felt like a different person, a person who had their life together. The salesman started running numbers. $4,200 down, $280 a month. I could afford it, technically. And that word, technically, that's the word that destroys more $20,000 savings accounts than anything else. I put the pen down, told him I needed to think about it, walked out of that dealership shaking, not from excitement, from fear. Fear of what I almost just did to myself. I sat in my old car, the one held together by hope and duct tape, and I just breathed because I realized something sitting there. That new car wasn't going to change my life. It was going to reset it. Reset me back to 5 months of savings instead of 2 years. Reset the clock on when I could actually breathe. Reset everything I'd sacrificed for air conditioning and Bluetooth. So here's the truth about $20,000 that nobody's saying out loud. It's not life-changing money. It's not freedom money. It's not you made it money. $20,000 is buying yourself time money. Time to not make desperate decisions. Time to not take the first job offer out of panic. Time to not stay in a bad situation because you can't afford to leave. It's not power. It's breathing room. It's the difference between playing chess and playing whack-a-mole with your life. And once I understood that, everything changed. Not my bank account, my relationship with it. I stopped looking at that $20,000 as something I had and started seeing it as something working for me. I took $5,000 and put it somewhere I couldn't touch it. Completely separate account. Watched it disappear from my checking, and something weird happened. I felt lighter. Not poorer, lighter. Because here's the secret they don't tell you. The obsession with protecting every dollar, that's not security, that's anxiety. Real security is having money you're not thinking about every 5 minutes. The remaining $15,000, That stayed liquid for actual emergencies, not hypothetical ones, not what-if scenarios I was inventing at 3 a.m. And you know what happened over the next 6 months? Nothing dramatic. No huge wins, no life transformation, just steadiness. The kind of boring steadiness that actually builds wealth. 21,000, 23,000, 26,000. Not because I got a raise or hit the lottery, just because I stopped fighting with myself about coffee. So if you're sitting on your first 20,000 right now, here's what I wish someone had told me. Don't just protect it. Put it to work. Make it invisible. Then go live your life. Because the brain change at 20,000 is not optional. It's going to happen. The only question is whether you use it or let it use you. $20,000 didn't change my life, but it changed how I think about money. And in the long run, that's worth way more than $20,000. The number in your account will go up and down. That's normal. But the way you think about it, that's the game. And you're playing it whether you know it or not.